Tell me what happened to you when you left this realm.
So I wake up in the middle of the night. Again, my head is pounding. I take my head off the pillow and, don't pass out, don't leave soul. We have to stay, do the whole thing. But it's just the same thing that happened the first time. So my soul is inside my body, but the next second it's outside. But this was so different because I had this sensation of just tumbling through darkness, almost like Star Wars. You're in a spaceship traveling through outer space. And it was just tumbling through space in darkness. But then I arrive at this, I call it the mid station or the bouncing station. I call it the bouncing station because they sent me back. I've heard stories where people got a choice. Do you want to stay or do you want to go back? There was no choice. I was sent back. So I get to this mid station, and I call it the mid station because I was aware that there were levels above me, but there was also levels below me. As if you go into a skyscraper and there's 100 floors and you push the button for the 50th floor. You know that there's floors above you and you know there's floors below you, right? But so that was the sensation, was that I was on this kind of 50th floor and there were more levels to go up or more levels below me. But as I get to this place, I don't have a body, I'm just in spirit form, but I'm still moving or rotating my spirit, or that's at least how it feels. And I hear the most beautiful music. You cannot make this music on the earth plane. We had a Roland synthesizer. I sat for days at this synthesizer, which had over 200 something sounds, trying to find one sound that sounded like the music I had heard. There was no sound. And I'm trained in piano. I can play the guitar, go to live orchestra. There is nothing that sounds like what I heard, because it's more beautiful than the most beautiful music you've ever heard on the earth plane. So I'm wondering where this music is coming from. So I look to the right, and I always love what people see. I see a log cabin. So I see this log cabin, and I open the door and think the music is coming from in there, but there's nothing in there. It's just empty. So then I rotate my spirit form to the other side, and I see another log cabin, a mirror image of my log cabin to the right. I open the door, but it's empty. So, now I'm like puzzled, where's the music coming from? But as I'm now standing or my spirit form, there is this growing white light, almost like if you think of a car dealership, those really strong spotlights, but turn that into that strength of the light, but turn it into like a fog. So you're completely immersed in this white, bright light. And so I'm rotating around and being kind of emerged into that light. In the light, there is an outline of angels. So I see the outline, not like the features of an angel, but the outlines of angels in the white light. And the music is coming from the angels. But I don't believe in angels. I'm still trying to process my near-death experience from 2 years ago and keep saying it's got to be something the brain does, or it's got to be this, oxygen deprivation or something. I'm still trying to process it scientifically. So I see this white light. I see the angels in the light. But that light is just pure unconditional love. But there is also a knowledge that we come from that light. We are that light. We carry that light within us, and we return to that light at death. That light is source. That light, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it God, you can call it source, you can call it whatever religion you believe in. But that we come from that, and we are made from that love. That pure love is what we carry within us, but that is also what we have forgotten, right? Living our daily lives. But we are part of this greater divine network. Everything is connected. So then I turn around and I see two spirit guides, and the one on my right communicates with the other spirit guide, and he says, "What is she doing here? She can't be here. She has to go back." And I'm like, no. Wait a second. How can this be? How can I be outside my body and still be me? I was just here I'm doing this for the second time. And the spirit guide on my left says, well, if I told you, you wouldn't remember. And I've heard other people say that too, that there's some control mechanism of what they make you remember, or that what they want you to remember. But then it's like I'm standing on the moon and I'm looking down. It's almost like a movie screen just appears in front of me, because it's just images that show up. But I'm seeing the earth from outer space, like I'm standing on the moon. But around the earth is this kind of diamond-shaped, silvery, glittery what I call the fishnet, because I grew up in Sweden, which is in Northern Europe, and I would row the boat for my grandmother as she laid fishnets in the ocean. So to catch fish for the family to eat. And when she took those fishnets out of the ocean in the early morning sun, the water droplets on that fishnet would glitter in the sunlight. So this is in 1994. And so we don't have Google, we can't Google the grid around the earth or anything. And so that's my best interpretation was it looks like a fishnet around the earth. And he said, everything on earth is connected to each other, but everything on earth is connected up to this grid. And with that message, I got sent back. And this was in 1994. So this has been 28 years now of me working on that. Every year, there is something new that comes into my life that makes me understand how divinely interconnected we are to each other and to the earth itself. And so that experience is what really activated my life path. And then, of course, everything that comes after that, the clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and we can talk about that.
When did that transition in your mind happen? Days after you got back? While you were there? When did that happen?
It took a long time. I am so scientific that I kept thinking, no, there must be some scientific explanation for this. And
even after that, you still were fighting it. Really?
I was still fighting it. And, I understood that there was something greater, but I was still not convinced. But then, so what happened over the next 10 years, right? So literally the clairvoyant and clairaudience started that first day after my first NDE, but it was just getting more and more. So, after 12 years of this, I could not say, okay, this is how it is. We are obviously spiritual creatures. We have connection with the spirit world. But I would start to see things before they happened. I would know things about people that were sick. I would know families, relatives that were going to pass away. Relatives started coming in after they passed away before anyone told me that they had passed away. And so I started having all these clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient experiences. And in the beginning, I thought, oh, it's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. It can't be. And after, a year or two of this, I started writing it down. Okay, I'm going to write it down to make sure I don't think it's a deja vu when something like this happens. Maybe my mind just made it up and I thought I knew that this was going to happen, but that's not really the truth. So I would write it down, or I would tell my kids about something. And so it became very apparent that we are very spiritual creatures and we have the capacity to connect with the spirit world. Anybody can connect with the spirit world. Some people do it as for work. Like I work with it now, but everybody has that ability because we are spiritual creatures, just like everybody has intuition, but we don't develop it. We don't follow that thread when we say, oh, I felt like I should take this road home because I feel like it's going to be an accident on the other one, and then there is an accident on the other road. But then you say, oh, it was just this epiphany I had, or you don't think that it's coming from somewhere else. You just think that it's a coincidence and you were just lucky that day, and we don't keep track of them. So we just keep doing this to ourselves over and over. But when you start writing things down or telling people and keeping track of all these messages that you actually are receiving, then it becomes apparent that there is a greater force in play, or your spirit guides that are warning you of different things, that are kind of looking after you and making sure you're not going to die too young. Right.
You said clairvoyant, which I know what clairvoyant means, but clairaudient and clairsentient, I've never heard those other two words. Can you explain what they are?
Yeah, so clairaudient is when you hear the spirit world. So when I heard my sister-in-law, I was clairaudient. And then my uncle came in the year in between the two near-death experiences. My uncle came and said he had passed to the other side and wanted to let me know, and also I think just to give me a little training to listen to the spirit world. Once the spirit world knows that you can connect with them or you're hearing them, you're going to get more and more messages. So he stopped by and said he had passed on. And I thought my mom was going to call me the next day from Sweden and say, my brother just passed away. She didn't call. And then 2 days went by, she didn't call. Finally, the third day, she calls and she says, hey, how's things going? How are the kids? Blah, blah, blah. And then finally she said, oh, I have something sad to share with you. And I said, yes, your brother, passed away 3 days ago. And she was just dead silent. And she said, how did you know? And I said, because he was here that night that he passed. So that's kind of how it started unfolding. But then as time went by, it got more and more obvious. So I would wake up. My two youngest kids were about 10 and 12. And I woke up and I saw 3 images. And the first image was a black scratch across the van door, the passenger where the kids get in and out typically. The second image was 2 of my kids were in the car, and my middle son was in the front, my daughter was in the back seat. And then the third image, I'm leaving a note on the windshield of a black sedan car. And I'm telling my kids about this. Okay, so I think we're going to be in an accident. You guys are in the car. Where could this accident happen? Because it's on the right-hand side, and we lived in East Bay, San Francisco at the time. So all the streets are pretty much one way. I drove my kids to the city every day because they went to school in the city. And we figured out this one intersection. After you come off the Bay Bridge, go down to the surface streets, you're going to jog left at that light, there's oncoming traffic. So we figured that is the only intersection out of this whole drive that the right-hand side of the car could possibly be hit. And I'm thinking, well, why am I leaving a note on the windshield of a black sedan car? Where is that driver? And if they got hurt, why didn't I see police or ambulance? Why would I leave a note? It doesn't make sense. So 10 days, we get to this intersection. My kids' noses are pressed up against the window. For 10 days, we did this. No accident. And we're all nervous. Like, what is this? Is this going to happen? But by now, we know that a lot of things have happened that, I have gotten warned about. So we're kind of nervous about it. So then we go to the bookstore in Walnut Creek, East Bay, which is the area where we lived. And as I come out of this bookstore, I'm trying to get onto this very narrow street, and there's a big UPS truck offloading boxes. There's cars trying to get into the garage, and I'm trying to get out. So I'm squeezing my van out onto this tiny street. And as I turn right onto the street, my right-hand side of the car scrapes the car that is parked there, which is a black sedan car. So as we take that turn, my car scrapes that car. I'm like, oh my God, this is it. So I get out of the car and I go look at the side. There is the exact scratch that I had described to my kids. And I just lose it. I start laughing so hard. And I'm just looking up at the sky, like, laughing. And all the people are just staring at me. This woman is crazy. She just hit that car and she's just laughing. But it was such a relief that nobody was hurt. And then, of course, I'm leaving the note on the windshield of the black sedan car because it was parked. They didn't have a driver. All these different things were happening for a period, for 12 years. All these different events would happen. And so they're verifiable events, right? So I couldn't have made it up because I had told my kids, they were aware, we were looking out. And it was the same thing with all the other experiences. And so after 12 years, it took me 12 years. I know some people could learn this in 2 years. It took me 12 because I'm so scientific, and it's just proof. No, I need more proof. I need more proof until I actually believed, okay, there is a spirit world. There are spirit guides. When we die, we go to the other side and we're still there.